Hi, everyone. Hello. Hi. It's so great to be in front of such an inspirational group of women. My name is Julie, and we're all here today because we believe clean technology and sustainability will make our planet a better place. And today, I'm here to talk to you, hopefully, about using that passion to launch a tech for good startup. And specifically, I want to share some stories from the trenches, real startups that are turning their passion into a reality. And I hope that it provides a little context beyond what you would read in a Bloomberg or a TechCrunch story and shows you both the challenges and opportunities when it comes to turning your passion into a startup. So first, I'd like to start with my journey. And frankly, it starts with urbanization, and specifically realizing that urbanization was fundamentally changing the way that we live and work. Right now, 81% of Americans live in and around cities. Globally, 2/3 of the world's population will be urbanized by the year 2050. And at the same time, looking all around us, we realize that these challenges are getting worse in our cities. Think about traffic congestion, energy delivery, homelessness, you name it. And at the same time, we're looking at government to provide all of these services and amenities to make our cities a better place to live. But just in light of the fiscal resources, as well as the enormity of these challenges, government can't do it alone. And I fundamentally believe urban innovators, or startups that are tackling our toughest urban challenges, are uniquely poised to step in. So my journey started 6 years ago. I was lucky enough in graduate school to meet my co-founder, Clara. I oftentimes joke that I spent 150 grand to meet Clara, and it was worth every penny. And at the time, we were both working for startups that we now realize were tackling some of these core urban challenges. Specifically, I was working for an Oakland-based startup called Revolution Foods. They provide healthy school meals across the US. They're now available in 25 major urban areas, and they do over 100 million in annual revenue. Pretty awesome. At the time, my co-founder, Clara, was working for a startup called Fundrise, which crowdfunds dollars from the community to invest in institutional real estate projects within that community. So we were both having these transformational experiences working for startups that were tackling the toughest challenges that we were seeing around us. So naturally, in business school, all of our peers were working for these kinds of startups, right? No, not so much. It seemed like all of them were starting the 3,000 dating app, which is okay. Many of us are beneficiaries of that. But we were wondering, why are so many of our smart, socially engaged peers electing to start the next dating app or photo sharing app as opposed to the next Revolution Foods or other urban innovation startup? So like any good grad students, we decided to do some quantitative and qualitative research. Very sexy, I know. And we found that there were two challenges that were systemically standing in the way of these startups getting off the ground. The first was a seed funding gap. Many of these startups had a capital-intensive proof of concept. If you're launching a bike share, you need a whole fleet of bikes. Or maybe they're working in a new economy, sharing economy space, where institutional investors wanted to see more traction when it came to customers. So that seed funding gap was really pronounced. And then the second major challenge was access to civic and government leaders, specifically around regulatory issues. If you're that bike share, you need public space permits. If you're a ride-sharing company, you're basically breaking every law known to man. So about 3.5 years ago, we launched an accelerator program called Tumml. Tumml has now, with our latest cohort, our numbers are up, we have now supported 38 startups with seed funding and mentorship. And not that we're biased or anything, but we think they're doing pretty amazing work. So over the last 3.5 years, we've provided capital, mentorship, and a structured curriculum. And we're really excited because about 3 months ago, we also launched a venture capital fund called the Urban Innovation Fund that invests in these transformative urban technologies. Now we provide more substantive seed capital and regulatory support to help these startups get off the ground. Along the way, we've had some awesome recognition for our startups. We've built out a mentorship board with urban innovators that can help support the new emerging class of entrepreneurs. We've been recognized and had our startups recognized in a lot of thought leadership and press. But really, the stars of the show are the entrepreneurs. And so, since this is a clean energy and sustainability talk, I want to highlight 4 of the urban innovators that we've supported, specifically on working on sustainability issues, and share some lessons from the trenches. And hopefully, with these lessons, it provides some color into what it takes to actually get a startup off the ground. And hopefully, maybe it'll inspire you to start a startup as well. So the first lesson that I want to share with you is around transportation. Obviously, transportation and traffic congestion are huge issues in our urban communities. We were the earliest investors in a startup called Chariot. Has anyone seen their vans around? Oh, nice. So they launched about 2 years ago. And the lesson that I want to share about Chariot service, they basically are a crowdsourced commuter van shuttle that runs during commuter hours between home and work. So 2 years ago, when the founder, Ali, came to pitch myself and Clara, he said to us, I have this idea. I just came from New York, and now I've moved to San Francisco. And it is such a pain to get to work. Going the 3 miles from my home to my job are excruciating, and it takes a very long time. I have this idea that we could crowdsource these shuttle vans and really solve this pain point. And we said, okay, that sounds like an interesting idea, but we didn't know if there was a there. Fast forward 2 weeks later, so 2 weeks after his initial pitch to us, he comes back, the founder and CEO, and he says to us, I did it. I rented a van, and now I'm driving a shuttle route myself. And we said, what? And yeah, I wanted to prove, there was so much skepticism, I wanted to prove that this is a service people wanted and they were willing to pay for. Literally in a 2-week period, he had gone from idea to getting that idea off the ground and executing it. And so the lesson that I want to share here is about the power of execution. There are so many ideas out there, and so many great ideas, but the difference between taking an idea and turning it into action is unbelievably difficult. And it's one of the toughest parts of starting a startup. And so I guess the fast forward lesson from Chariot is Ali was a really great entrepreneur when it came to execution. Over the last 2 years, he built out 28 crowdsourced routes across the Bay Area. And about a month ago, Ford, the mobility company, announced that they were acquiring Chariot, which is very exciting. And now they're spreading from just the Bay Area to 5 new municipalities under Ford Smart Mobility, including Austin, Texas, which we're really excited about. Yay, claps. The second lesson I wanted to share with you is around electricity consumption and a startup that we supported to help with this issue, which is obviously a pronounced one. We supported a startup called SkyCool Systems, which basically developed a roof-mounted panel that harnesses the coolness of the sky to make cooling systems like HVAC, refrigeration, data centers more efficient. It's a very exciting technology, but you're dealing with a hardware. Essentially, they create these roof-mounted panels that look like solar panels. And so when you think about many of the challenges that startups have, especially in the clean tech space, you need to get people to pay money to help you develop this concept. And SkyCool Systems, they are a lesson about raising early stage funding and being scrappy about it. The founders of this startup basically used and leveraged research that they were doing as PhDs. They wrote a federal government grant, and then they ended up leveraging that into other grants from nonprofits, from other foundations, and then they used it to raise traditional funding. And oftentimes when we hear about funding and the funding landscape, it makes it seem like money is growing on trees to entrepreneurs here, but I think anyone in the trenches will know that it's actually really hard to convince people to give you money for your startup. So you have to be scrappy. And what I really like about SkyCool is that they used a layered capital approach, and not just looking for the next venture capitalist, but also leveraging non-dilutive funding like grants. The third lesson I wanted to share with you is an issue that affects us all, especially in California, the drought. We supported an awesome company called Valor Water Analytics, which is a big data solution for water utilities to help them with financial and conservation solutions. The company was founded by a woman PhD in water finance named Christine. And she had a lot of industry expertise and experience. But the lesson that I want to share around Valor is that it's all about the team. And building that team will make or break your startup. So for example, with Christine, she had the industry area expertise, but really she needed to build that team around her to take it from academic project to startup reality. So she got a lot of great technologists, a CTO, data scientists, as well as salespeople who've now helped build the startup into something real and substantial that's operating across 6 states. And my final example is around energy use, specifically reducing energy use. We supported a company called Hive Lighting, which makes ultra-efficient plasma and LED lights. So think about these lights around us. This is an industry that has been basically stagnant over the last 100 years. And this company came about because a cinematographer was carrying really heavy, really hot lighting around, and he said there had to be a better, more energy efficient way. And so the lesson that I wanted to share with you around Hive Lighting is their focus on sales, and specifically more money equals more impact. They were out to change our lighting one light bulb at a time. They specifically sold into the film and entertainment industry to start. They built networks with distributors across the globe, and now they're launching a Kickstarter for their new LED lighting product. Very exciting. So those are 4 quick lessons from the trenches. I hope it gave you some illustration of what urban innovators are doing in the work that we've seen, and really exciting for the stage and audience here. 71% of the entrepreneurs that we've supported have a woman or person of color on the founding team, which I think really speaks to having and supporting more women and more diversity. So I hope these lessons inspire you all to take your passion for clean technology and sustainability and turn it into a startup. And if you do, come talk to me. Thank you.